Hi, I'm Katie Leclerc, and I am an actor, a producer, and creative type in general.
See, and Katie, I love asking this question first off. How did this sort of performative, creative passion establish itself in your life? When did that happen for you?
Yeah, I was Annie in middle school, so I feel like I was typecast from the beginning, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Got those red
lead
hair and
role.
freckles. Ah,
That's so. Had you done any of this before, or it was just one of those like, hey, you have a lot of energy, you need to put it somewhere else?
I mean, yeah, it was just like the school play or whatever, and so I was like, I auditioned and I was Annie, and I really fell in love with it. Like I fell in love with the stage and the theater and the sound of the theater, the response from the audience and the energy that you can, you know, um, feel on stage that you get on TV and on set and film and stuff. But it's sort of like that stage presence was really exhilarating to me, and yeah, I was sort of like bullied as a kid and I didn't love my real life experience. And
Hmm.
so acting became a way for me to sort of escape that and separate myself from that reality and create a new world that felt more positive.
Yeah, it sounds like you found yourself in a way, like way earlier than most people do as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think it also gives me acting and in writing and developing stories in general. Like you have to have empathy
Yeah.
for every character that you're creating. Because that's the only way you can do it.
Yeah.
And so, and so it's the only way that it's good. And so
Yeah.
yeah, so I feel like that's a muscle that I've sort of been working out a lot and throughout my life. And that's one of my favorite things about storytelling is the
Yeah.
empathy that you have to have for all of the characters.
I love it. As someone else who was also bullied in middle school and up to high school for being overweight, I felt the same way, but I was on the writing side. I never
Aha.
thought I'd be an actor, but then, you realize, oh, I can use everything I've been through to make a really great character and possibly make a living out of it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's just so cool. And did you ever consider that, that feeling you had performing on stage and finding, that new sort of creative family, new creative drive? Do you ever think that would be a career when you were younger, or were you planning on doing something else with your life?
So when I was like really young, I wanted to be everything. Like every kind of,
Oh
I
yeah.
wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be. I thought I could be a WNBA player. I thought I could be a country music singer. Thought I could be anything. And I just went through them. Tyler, I was just like next occupation, next occupation. Like I'm just gonna keep on steamrolling. And then I was on stage and I was like, oh, that's what I want to do. And
Yeah.
I just really stuck with it. And my parents were incredibly supportive of everything that I've ever done in my whole life. They've just always had my back. And they were like, okay, well, you want to be an actor? Okay. So we moved because of the bullying from Colorado to San Diego. And I heard this ad on the radio for John Robert Powers. And I was like, they said I could be an actor. That's how I could be an actor. And I went and I auditioned for them. And then that led to me getting a manager and then and then eventually a commercial agent, which was like so exciting and so great.
Heck
And then it
yeah.
came time for me to get a theatrical agent, which is for like movies and television. And I went all around town and I interviewed at like 15 different agencies, whatever. And I had a really like this big wig, this like highly important lady. And I went in there, I'm 15. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm going to do my thing and I'm going to be myself. Okay. And I do the thing and whatever, I
Yeah.
did a cold reading, whatever. She goes, you're cute, you're talented, you're funny. Become anorexic and I'll hire you. And so my family went, wait, what did she say? What the heck did she just say? And then so my dad, who's an entrepreneur himself, said, well, screw that. Let's just start an agency. And so we went, and my
Oh,
mom became an agent. She got bonded by the state of California. We had like 70 clients at one point, and then that was right before the 2008 writer strike happened.
hmm.
But right around then, she was able to sell her company and we were able to, sort of move on. And now they have a Chinese restaurant in San Antonio, Texas.
What?
It's a journey here, Tyler. It's a journey. So, but I realize I'm so lucky. I'm so blessed with parents who who
Yeah.
able to really dive in for me and really show up for me. And I know that that is not everybody's experience, but that being said, like my journey started from this really desperate place and became something really beautiful and really fulfilling. And yours can too, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, God, just the thought of your family saying, well, we'll just start an agency and
Yeah.
that's how we'll, no one's ever done that. At least no one I've talked to.
It's crazy. They're so amazing. My folks are so, and not to say that they're perfect. Like, listen, you know, things can be still a little bit spicy, but like, you know, what we do the best we can. And really, we love each other. My family, we love each other. And I know that as long as I have that, then I'll be able to figure out anything else that comes my way.
Yeah. Did your parents ever have, a desire to become actors as well? Did they ever have that? Because it sounds like they're really good at just pivoting to different areas and really excelling at it with a, rigorous work ethic. So I'm just curious if that was a possibility.
Really, really good observation. It's all about the pivot. That's so
Yeah.
true. My dad went to one audition. My dad was also he helped run casinos, so he's really good at dealing cards. He's like a poker player. So there, my mom, because she was the agent, right? She would get breakdowns for like roles that they need that they're casting, and some commercial needed a poker dealer. And so she was like, "Oh, Roger, you gotta do it." So my dad, like, he took a real quick headshot. We got it all uploaded. We submitted him. He gets to go in, and oh my goodness, he was like, "I never want to do that again in my life."
Really didn't like it?
Oh, I think he could get used to anything, but for that
Okay.
one audition, for that one experience, he was like, "That's not something I like to do." And I'm like, "Oh man, that's my favorite thing." Like I miss in-person auditions so much
Do you
because
really?
I love walking into the room and being like, "Hey, what's up? I'm the girl for you." And then am. And it's great. And I miss the in-person auditions. I really do. That's the biggest
Yeah.
thing that's changed in
Mhm.
my 23 years as a professional actor. Like I miss the in-person audition.
You haven't had any since, post-COVID?
Some a couple, yeah,
Okay.
some, but
Okay.
it's like a treat. It's such
Yeah.
a treat. I'm like, hi, thank you for seeing me in person. And then they're like, why is she so excited? Oh, you know,
Like everyone's very quiet and tired. Like, what's
like ah,
going on?
yeah. But I'm just excited, and so
Yeah.
that's that is really genuinely like I'm just an excited person, and so I feel like that's what kind of would win me the job. Is I'm like, you want to work with me? Let's have fun, and then we do, and it's fun.
That is okay. That's a rockin' way of approaching an in-person audition. The nerves can bring up, the energy and all that could be great, but holy crap. Like, I mean, if you walked in, I'd be like, well, we need to book her for one
Well,
of the things.
I feel like for anybody who's going in for an audition, like the thing to remember is they want you to have the job. They want you to be the
Yeah.
person. Because also they get to go home. Like
Yep.
they want you, they want it to be you. You know what I mean? Like they
Yeah.
want you to succeed. They want to see it fly off the page. They want you to see you bring it to life in a new way. So like I always felt like that was really empowering. And maybe you can be still nervous in that feeling, but like they've got your back, you know?
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
it makes it more relaxed.
See, God, we've been doing this for almost, actually, it's like 4.5 years now, just this show. But then I'm approaching my 13th year of being in this industry as an actor, and I got to tell you, I miss in-person auditions now more than ever.
Yeah.
Like, it was, I don't think I took full advantage of it when it was occurring, and then everything changed, and now it's like, oh, convenient. I can do it at home,
Mhm.
but you don't feel that energy. Like I feel like you almost feast off of the
Yeah.
CDs and the associates that are there because
Yeah.
you're right. They want you to nail it.
Yeah.
It's just rocking.
Yeah.
Uh, and with like all that being said, has there ever been an audition that didn't go? I don't want to say it went bad, but one you walked out of going,
Oh yeah.
like that may have tanked a little bit. But where was your headset at with this mentality that you have concurrently? Where you are excited. And what do you do with all that energy?
Gosh. I'm a baker. Um, so I remember I was on Veronica Mars,
Yeah.
like season 1, episode I don't know, like 9 or something like that. Also, fun fact, side note, fun fact,
Yep.
not my character, but the storyline of the episode, because I'm an under five. I'm like
Mm.
first 10 seconds of the show. But the storyline of that episode is a girl who was switched at birth. So Tina Majorium was switched to birth on Veronica Mars. That's the episode that I'm in. I wasn't switched to birth. But isn't that crazy? Isn't
Was
that
that
crazy?
was that before or after you did the show?
It's way before.
Oh
Like
my God.
15, like 10 years before. It's like a 10-year town, right? That's what I'm saying is like the episode. So,
Holy
but my
cow.
character, anyway, I am a San Diego local hire. I'm
Mhm.
not even like getting this audition through my LA agent. Like I'm a San Diego local. I'm 16. I'm, like I bring the sides to my high school drama teacher who was one of the most important people and role models in my entire life. And I'm bringing this. I'm like, hey, help me with it. I'm working on it. I'm doing it well. And I go in. It's maybe the second time I was in front of that casting director, who later became like a good friend. But it's like the second time. And I walk out of that audition, Tyler, and I was like, I bombed. I thought I was never gonna work again in this time. Like I
Oh
freaking
wow.
bombed. But then you get the job. And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
well, I guess I shouldn't judge it so badly. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just get out of your own head. That's my
Yeah.
biggest. I'm not always successful with it, but like if you are able to just be like, well, I did that and I don't have to judge it because it's already over. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And just leave it up to the universe, the cosmos, whatever, to
Yeah.
bring
Do the best you
something back to
can.
you.
And then, yeah.
Yeah.
And then trust that it's going to come back to you and trust that there's enough work for everybody. And like, you
Mhm.
don't have to be like, the other thing I miss about in-person auditions, and I used to get nervous, but I would always find something about one of the other gals in the room to compliment. I'd be like, I really like your shoes, or you got a great
Oh
haircut,
man.
or like whatever the thing was, because I hate a quiet room. I hate them. Like I'm a conversation gal. Let's chit chat. Let's have some convo. And so I would just start a conversation, but I would compliment somebody else because it made my nerves go down and it made theirs go down too. And it was
Yeah.
such a better freaking experience. Like quit thinking that you gotta like dominate no, just do what you're gonna do and trust that it's good enough. And if it is, then it'll come back to you.
I love that method too. Honestly, I'm based in Denver, and 90% of the actors here are that way, where we we want to bring each other up, right? You don't want to walk in and say, ugh, like that
Uh-huh.
person's not going to get it. And I can only imagine in California how those rooms may have felt because it's completely different region
And
to
I will say
region.
maybe it's changed too, because
Yeah.
I feel like it has become a lot more positive. The industry has become a lot more positive in general. So maybe
Mhm.
I'm sort of like preaching something that has already changed, but I'm grateful that it has, like it's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something good. It's something fun. And shoot, I mean, I want to say maybe even 5-ish years ago, the roles that would come out for, say, somebody like me would vary to the point of like, just being offensive as far as what
Hmm.
you'd have to do and voices, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
But you're right. Everybody has a part. Everybody's able to fill some kind of character archetype. Like it's cyclical. It keeps working through. And
Yeah.
I mean, this just came to me now. Has there been a role that you would have loved to have filled in, or one that you did fill in that was completely against what you're sort of known for?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I actually just finished a project. It's called The Interrogation of Anna Goode. And
Ooh.
in that film, I'm only in one scene and it's a flashback that happened like 8 years prior, and there's no context in for that scene in the rest of the film. So it's a really cool and interesting character to play because you're given these 8 pages and then you create the entire world like outside of that. My character in that project, my friend is a police investigator and he's the person who's in the scene with me. And he called me and he said, hey, I'm working on this movie, and the actress who was going to play this role just backed out because the subject matter is like a little personal to her, so she can't do it. It's pretty heavy. Take a look at it and then see if you want to do it. So my character in the film abducts and tortures and ultimately murders a family of children. And that was so against my type.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So not a character that I get to play very often because I'm Susie Mary Sunshine. So I was like, oh wow, like this is meaty and like something I can really sink my teeth
Yeah.
into. It's with an actor that I trust. It's a teeny tiny independent film that is deserving of an audience. And I'm gonna pour my heart into this character because I don't get the opportunity to do this very often. So I went and I got coaching for it, and I really love what we got to do on screen together. So yeah, it's a film that is hopefully going to be making the festival circuits here in a little bit, and hopefully people get a chance to see it. But regardless, it was really interesting to in that experience because I'm such good friends with the other actor. I really like I asked for like separation from him. I was like, don't talk to me on the day. Like I really sort of went more method with it than I normally do. I got to hair and makeup and they were like, what do you want to do? And I was like, fuck me up. I don't know if we can curse on this, but I was
Oh
just
yeah, absolutely.
make it ugly. Like make me externally the way my insides are. This girl is ugly. You know what I mean? And so they like made bags under my eyes and like I look a mess and it's like really, like it was interesting to explore those parts of myself and like figure out how I'm going to portray this character. My coach on in the experience was like, "Man, you're doing this way too smart." And I was like, "Okay, well, let's reshape this and like figure out is she dumb?" And ultimately like I don't play her at the end of the day, like in the performance, I don't play her as if she's dumb. I play her as if she thinks that she is a scientist and she has this massive ego and she's performing experiments on these kids. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I had to go a different way with it because I was like, I don't know how to be that. Like, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? And so we came up with this other solution and she's evil. Like she's terrible. Um, but it was I mean, that's what performance is, right? Like, again, like, what's the
Yeah.
empathy in that character? Like, she is delusional, but she thought she was performing experiments to like better society, like to take it to the most extreme or whatever. So, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's a story about me not being happy all the time.
That was way darker than I thought it would be. It's like, yeah, she's, maybe into drugs or something. No, this is probably
Yeah.
the worst thing a character could do.
Yeah. But it was fun. It was cool. And then, after lunch, I was able to like not be quite as like method with it, but it was a cool experience. It was great. And the director,
Yeah.
DC Hamilton, was so supportive and just sort of like let me, they were like still setting up the shot and still setting up the scene. And I was like, I want you to put the handcuffs on me and I want to go sit in the back of the police van while you guys finish setting up the shot. And he was like, okay. Fine. Fine. And so then he just was really supportive and really sort of created a really great environment to do some weird stuff.
It sounds like you got like the most out of your day for that scene. And that's a lot mentally. So after that day, I just want to know, how did you shake off that character? Did you pull a Dr. Sleep and toss her into what do they call it? I don't know, just a box and lock it up away? Or did you shed it completely? What was that process like for you? Because that's
Ah,
heavy.
interesting. Good question. I think I mean at some point you start making jokes about it, right? Like
Yeah,
even when
that's fair.
you don't start making jokes about because there's like blood in the scene and that sort of becomes like, at some point it kind of can become silly or whatever. So we start becoming more ourselves. I started becoming more myself as the day like went on. I knew the camera operator as well. He was one of the operators on Switched at Birth, which was just like, man, I love how small this town is. I
Yeah.
love how small town Hollywood is. And so because of that, I got to like make jokes about Switched and sort of like come back to myself a bit. God, that sounds pretentious, but I mean, like,
Not at all.
you kind of just, yeah. And then I was, I remember when I was driving home, I called my friend Max and I was like, that was exhilarating. Like it felt like we left it all on the, stage. And
Yeah.
um yeah, and so I don't know, we went to the around the corner, we grabbed like a margarita, and then just chatted about old times and about Switch, because he was on Switch Upper too, is Max Adler.
Oh,
He
wow. Okay.
Switch. So it was like a really it was a lovely way to be really messed up.
With a perfect wrap up to that too.
Yeah,
Like margarita, I'm in. Like let's talk
yeah.
about the day.
Some salsa and some salt trim.
Well, I do. I mean, I have to bring up Switch at Birth as well because we always, if you have ever had the good fortune of working on a show for as long as, you did,
Yeah.
I always like going back to just the initial audition, not, looking at the sides, not going into the room, but maybe the second you booked it, can you recall where your brain was at? Because it was a show on ABC Family, right? That was the network,
Hmm.
and it ran for a while.
Hmm.
So what was going through your head? Because every actor, you could book a commercial, you could book in under five a co-star and be really happy. But booking a role on a television show like that, that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
So I'm sure your brain was just imploding with excitement.
Well, I was stoked when I booked the pilot, right? But then you're
Yeah.
like, oh man, that was the most incredible experience of my whole entire life. Like I got to work with, Leah Thompson and Constance Marie and D.W. Moffat, and Marlee Matlin was not on board yet. They like showed her the pilot afterward, and then
Okay.
later on to find out like Marlee gave her seal of approval. Oh my gosh, like it was, and Lucas Grabeel, and I got to make friends with Vanessa Morano, and it was really sort of instantaneously magic, right?
Hmm.
And then you go away and you're like, wow, that was amazing. Wow, that was amazing. I wonder if they're gonna pick it up.
Yeah.
Are they gonna pick it up? Do I get to do that again? Like, what's next? Do we get to do it again? And so then you get that phone call because they were like, we'll tell you by February 15th whether or not it's a go, it's picked up. And so then on, February 12th, you get the phone call. And I was at work. I was at like my day job.
Hmm.
And I saw that it was the showrunner, Lizzie Weiss, calling me. And I was like, oh, this is the yes or the no. Okay. So I got up and I went to like this kitchen area that we had. And then I answered the phone. I go, hi. And she said, they picked it up. And I screamed without screaming. And I went, ah. I'm jumping up and down. I'm like, okay, okay, keep it together, kid, keep it together. So then Lizzie and I, wrap up our conversation. And I'm, of course, like elated, like so excited. But then the best feeling was to go back up to my desk and get to sit down and be like, hey, you guys remember I got to do that show and I got to film that pilot. That I'm not gonna come to work on Monday.
Oh,
That
no.
was like the most fulfilling. Like that was the most I was like, oh, I made it, baby. I got to
Yeah.
like do the thing, and I'm gonna be an actor and I'm gonna be an artist from this point forward. And you know what I've learned in my old age is like actors think forever and always, no matter how successful you are, forever and always you're like, I'm only as good as my last job. That's always the underlying like, oh, that was so cool. I got to do that pilot. Are they gonna pick it up? And like that feeling is okay. And that's because that's how why I started to become a producer and started to develop projects, because the actors have like almost no control. You're the last person that they hire,
Mhm.
and it's a big responsibility, and it's all I want to do. All I want to do is act. Like I'm only creating stuff so that I can be an actor in it.
Yeah.
But like that feeling will never go away. So you kind of have to accept it and be okay with that part of it. Um, but like being able to quit my day job and be like, I'm going to be a creative from this point forward was the most one of the most empowering things that I've ever been able to do.
And it's a whole new skill set too, right? Being a producer and being essentially in charge of these different projects.
Mhm.
I've produced a couple of projects on my own as well, and it's a couple nights of not sleeping. So
Yep.
is
Yeah.
that something that you're, considering moving forward with pretty parallel to your acting career as well? I mean, you said you wanted to create things so you can act in them as well, but what about, stuff that maybe you just want to make but don't
Oh,
necessarily want to act in?
yeah. I've got this. It's funny. Like I think it's just the pursuit of creativity, like whatever that looks like.
Ah,
I also want to direct. Like I think that was a revelation that I've had in the last like couple years. Like I never thought I would be a director, but maybe I could. Maybe I do. Maybe that's fun. Like I have a lot to learn and I want to continue to learn. And the only way that you get to do that is by trying new things.
yeah.
So what's next? Let's keep going.
Oh, okay. Now I got to ask you this. What would be your sort of dream genre to direct for the first time?
Oh,
I
I
know
have
it's a big one.
I have this idea that is a real life story from one of my friends. And he's a giant former NFL player. So he's like this big macho guy. And he has this really sweet, touching human moment. And I want to capture that story. I'm trying not to say too much because I
Oh
love it
yeah,
so
yeah. Don't spoil it.
like I want to capture that story. That's something that I want to direct. But then that's like a drama comedy, drama comedy. Yeah, yeah. I think that's probably like I love early Judd Apatow where like the project is full of heart and lessons and a lot of emotion, but it's hilarious and a little inappropriate. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, for
I still
sure.
want to push the envelope and I'm not trying to sugarcoat things and make things soft, but I want to create projects that create conversation. Switch to Birth spoiled me. I got to be part of a show that was on, like you said, for so long.
Yeah.
It created so many conversations. To this day, people come up to me and they're like, man, I had some tough conversations with my parents about XYZ
Hmm.
because of that show. And like our show wasn't perfect. Sometimes we would intentionally show things, sort of wrong or whatever to create the conversation or show the other point of view to create the conversation. And that I think that was the lesson that I learned about storytelling from Lizzie Weiss was just like we as artists can create the conversation and can help direct the conversation by what we are making.
Hmm.
And so why not do that? Like let's bring people together and create some conversation.
Hell yeah. Well, what about writing?
I'm just it's
Oh, come on.
oh, it's so hard. It's so hard. Oh, Tyler, with my computer, blah.
You
You're
need
like,
a dry erase
oh,
board.
I have one. Look, it's huge.
You?
And it's probably gonna kill all my stuff. And yeah, I have one. I have all my treatments
Okay.
and
Okay, good.
but I just sit in front of the computer. Oh, it's so hard. You're so much better than me. I can't do it. It's so
No,
hard.
it's,
I
I
want
mean,
I want to do the conversation part where I'm
yeah.
like, top of that, but the part where I'm by myself and I'm like, oh, I hate it.
So you're more of the outlining
Yeah.
fan. You'd be like, this is what happens.
Yes, yes,
But
yeah.
then this happens.
And then somebody else writes it. Don't make me write it. Don't make me write it.
It's
Oh.
so much fun. You get to suffer in a different way, but you get to control it. It's so much fun. Oh, I mean, it makes sense though. I mean, it's not great most of the time. If I could drink alcohol, I totally would. I wish that was a thing, but yeah, I mean, you have all these different creative sort of trajectories that you're going on. I figured like, hey, writing might not be a big thing. You might have a wall full of sticky notes, and you're like, I know what every one of them says.
Yeah, I do, but I do have OCD too. Oh my gosh, it's all
Are
color
you?
coded over there. Like, oh, I wish it's like it's great, but my brain, I just want to be. This is my hurdle. Like, I just want to be social.
Oh,
That's
that's
really
fair.
what this business is for me is like it's between action and cut. Okay, that's really fun and I love those stories and telling those stories. But
Yeah.
just as much, I love between cut and action BSing with my new best friends for the next 4 months. You know what I mean? Or like even if it's because they do movies in like 14 days now. You know what I mean?
Oh
I'm like,
yeah.
next month we are all best friends. And that's what I love about this business. Those little communities, those little pockets that you make and those memories that you make
Yeah.
my favorites.
That's
So
so
I
cool.
don't get that. And I say, well,
What if
you're just
you
better than me. I can't do it.
you can create a writer's room like a
Well,
group of
that's
people?
true. But then somebody else does the typing, right? It seems to be me.
I mean, I think they take turns.
All right, well, let's make a writer's room. Let's you and I.
Redo it.
Let's go.
Redo it. I'm starting a single cam comedy here soon. So we'll get
There
that
you
going.
go.
Because it takes the edge off. It takes that off you. But you brought up a whole the social aspect of it is incredibly important. And I don't know, I love working on, network shows and, higher budget films. Indies are the most rewarding spiritually, in my opinion, because of that very reason you just stated.
Yes.
That we're gonna be a family in 14 days, and then when it ends, we're all gonna fucking cry.
I know. No. It's beautiful.
Yeah. It's the best thing. But, one thing that I've learned, at least in the last 4 years, it's keeping your life full outside of it too.
Mhm.
So what do you have going on in your I know saw you have a pupper behind you that was walking earlier in the call, but what do you have in your life that keeps you full outside of acting and creating?
That is my dog Joey. She's a
Joey.
4-year-old Australian Shepherd, and she's everything. I love her so much. So we go on a lot of hikes and we go camping.
Yeah.
I'm also a baker, and really like my community is the thing that I love the most, and what kind of keeps me going. Like my schedule is almost every night I am trying to see other people or like meet up with folks, go see a movie together, that kind of thing. And then it's my family. My family is just my number one. And yeah, so I how do that's I think there is a trap in um making your hobbies make you money.
Mm.
Like
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I think that like it's if you like to crochet, you don't have to sell that product on Etsy. And I think because technology is so accessible these days, like everybody's hobby is now their side hustle. And I think that that is a trap.
Yeah. Do you think it allows for an opportunity to just start really disavowing and disliking that hobby?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like I mentioned before, I'm a baker. I
Yeah.
really love to bake. And I've had friends pay me to make something for their event or whatever, but I kind of hate it because then there's like way much well, it's too much pressure. I just want to
That's
make
true.
it. I just want to make the thing and I just want to give it to you. And if it's
Mhm.
not tasty or if it, like if you get gas, like I don't know, like I'm sorry, like it's I just want to make it and then you can decide if you like it. I don't know.
What
I don't want
what
the
are you
pressure.
what are you baking? I'm a baker too, so I need I
Oh,
need
good.
to know.
I my favorite thing to make are macarons. Um,
Oh,
mostly because they're complicated, and I really like complicated things. I make things really
yeah.
complicated for myself all the time.
Holy
So
shit.
I like making macarons, and then beyond that, like I'll just like to try new things. And again, like they're not always successful. I made a challah the other day, and it was terrible. It did not rise. I was like, did I burn the yeast? What happened? What did I
Yeah.
do? But I gotta perfect it because I'm going to the holiday dinner and I'm responsible for the challah, so I have to make more. Oh, and it's so disappointing. You do the auto lease, you let it rise, you do the bulk fermentation, and then you make it in a braid and then you let it go. Oh my gosh, it takes so long. And then nothing happens. Oh, so annoying. But we gotta do it again because I gotta make this recipe correct before I
Oh
bring
my
it
God.
there. That's all I'm saying.
I was wondering about that. If it's oh, I'm gonna want to done it, or if you have to master that now
Yeah,
and then let it go.
tackle it. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna
I
send you a picture
oh,
of challah bread before this year is over, Tyler.
I see. I'm tipping my hat to you because the complicated stuff. I say yeah, maybe if I don't have to work a lot, I'll focus on that, or else it's gonna eat
What
me
do you
alive. So I'm more of the baked goods, like cookie, cake. Like
Yes.
I'm the sweets person.
Yes.
So there's a bunch of stuff I'd like to bake this Christmas.
Uh-huh.
But there are a few things that I've made. Oh God, what was it? I made like a gluten-free option this last summer, and did it taste like ass?
Oh
It was,
no.
and I thought, you know what? Because I had to go gluten-free for stomach issues. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
okay, this is gonna be so good. I took a bite of it, and it was not good. And
Oh,
I still have the recipe written down somewhere. Haven't
yeah.
touched it though. But no, it's a really cathartic process baking, right? I mean, it's peaceful. It can be stressful, but it deters you from worrying about other things.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, you said you have a 4-year-old Aussie. We have a 12-year-old Aussie. Love him to death. He's the best. He's slowing down so much, so I can't even imagine the energy that your 4-year-old has, even with the hikes and everything else.
Yeah. Oh, they're just the best too. They're the best dogs.
Yeah, they're just fantastic. So, one Aussie fan to another. Hats
Yeah.
off. I hope. I assume you have social media, so if you do have that, now I have to stalk it and see pictures of your dog.
Yeah. She's there all the time. She's my favorite thing to post about.
No, with you being such a social person, no matter if it's on set or in the audition space or just outside, I feel like you have something for this. I need to know if you have a party story you could share with our listeners. Doesn't have
I
to be
100.
entertainment industry related, but something that, you tell the story constantly. It could
Mhm.
be fun, funny, dramatic, horrific, could be anything. But you have something. I know you have something.
Okay, I want to tell you the story. I want to tell you the story about how I called the fire department on myself for a lizard. I am I'm stubborn. I'm a stubborn person. And my ex-husband, I had tasked him with please replacing the shelves in the garage with these new shelves. And he didn't do it. And then he was out of town and I was like, I'm gonna do it. If he's not gonna, I'm gonna do it. So I'm on the phone with my parents and I'm organizing the garage, I'm unboxing things, I'm moving stuff around, I'm drinking a little champagne. I'm having some bubbles while I'm on the phone. Like it's fine. I'm having a good time. I'm having a good night. Everything's going fine. And then in the corner, I see a snake just slither itself into the distance. And I'm standing there and I'm like frozen, fight or flight. I'm frozen. I'm like looking at this thing. And I'm like, Mom and Dad, what am I gonna do? And they're like, well, you should call animal control. Well, it was 10 o'clock at night. I call animal control. They're
Oh,
like, if it's an emergency, you should call 911. I called my parents back and I said, I don't think this is an emergency. And they said, are you going to sleep tonight? And I said, no. And they said, well, then you should call 911. And so I called 911 like an idiot, like an idiot, like an idiot. But I was very afraid. And then I said, please don't do lights and sirens. Please, no. And then they did. And I'm standing there and I didn't move. I've got my eyes on the corner the whole time because I don't want the snake to escape. But then it was discovered and confirmed that it was indeed a lizard. It was a big lizard, but it was just a lizard, and I felt like it
and you thought it was a snake?
thought it was a snake. I thought I was gonna die. I had dogs. I was like, this is gonna eat my dogs. Oh my gosh, calm down. It was a lizard. It was okay. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Was this it was the garage shut or was it open?
Well, it was like halfway open, and then when the when fire department got there, they're like, they like walked up with a shovel, and they're like, "I hear you have a pest control problem," and I'm like, "It's a lizard." And then it was a lizard.
Maybe it shapeshifted.
Maybe. Or yeah,
Evil
yeah.
spirit, and it's like, I'm gonna mess with this chick.
What a like just so nervous. I was so scared. I was so scared. And my very supportive parents. They were like,
Yeah.
"It's fine." No. But then I was like, "Gentlemen," and I had just gotten married, so I had all these like party favors or whatever left over and I was like,
Oh
"Take
no.
cases of lemonade." So they left with like 8 cases of lemonade. So they just saved me the trip. I could have dropped them off myself, but
They have that in their party story files for sure.
oh, I'm so like even to this day, I'm just like, wow, wow. You couldn't have looked? You couldn't have like checked that it wasn't a snake?
I mean, if it was that late and you were frozen in fear, your brain starts doing crazy stuff, right? When you're really scared or taken aback.
Like snakes.
Yeah, that
Anyway, I don't know if that's the kind of party story that everybody tells, but that's
it's it's wonderful. It's one I've had a few about, playing charades with Rachel McAdams or meeting this person. Da, 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 da. I love these kinds of stories because nobody could duplicate it.
yeah. Well, I mean, I've gotten to meet some really cool people in my life, but
Yeah.
it feels like a little name droppy. I'm just like, wait a minute. But
Oh
like
no.
I don't know. I'm like That's a funny story.
This is perfect. I love it 'cause I could see anybody I know, even myself, doing the same thing. They're
Mm.
like, "That's a snake. That's a that's a snake."
Mm. I
But the
wish it
best
was.
response from your
Like,
parents,
yeah,
"What,
I know,
are you
right?
gonna sleep tonight?"
No.
You're like, "Then it's an emergency."
Yeah, I guess.
Well, okay. That's gonna keep me giggling for a while. That was really good. Um, this actually might go great along with that. If you have any advice that you've held on to that you could pass along to our listeners, it doesn't have to be industry related as well. It could be anything, could be just life based. But do you have something you could share with them?
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, my dad is my dad's a character. He's great. Um, and I went to this big acting competition in New York City. It was where I got my manager, and there's 700 other girls in my category, and the competition's really high, and the stakes are really high. My dad sent a fruit basket to the hotel room, and in the note with the basket, it said, "Define the moment. Don't let the moment define you."
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, best advice I ever got.
See that? God, that's something I have one tattoo, but I would get that tattooed on myself.
Yeah,
That's so good.
yeah.
Sorry, I'm just writing this down.
Right? I was like, dude. And then I called him. I was like, "Do you come up with that?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Yeah, right. That's really good, Dad. That's really." He's like, "No, that's not me." I'm like, "Okay, all right, okay."
Like I was rewatching Chips and it just came up.
Right?
Um
Yeah.
that's yeah, that's a brilliant piece of advice. For anything, especially for like you've been talking about for this recording, that the nerves that can come up in this industry as well, whether you're an actor, producer, writer, director, anything. Anything can happen, but that's also a good thing.
Yeah.
Um, that's incredible. Okay. Last question I'm going to ask you because I know we're running out of time. Uh, do you have anything that we can give a shout out to or promote with this episode?
Oh, sure, sure. Well, that indie movie, The Interrogation of Anna Good. Um, I was just in this last summer. Oh, I think I can talk about this. I don't know. I'm gonna do it. I hope I don't get in trouble. Ha! I'm in a Netflix show called Pulse, Pulse, like checking your pulse. It's a
What?
doctor show. And yeah, there's 10 episodes. I'm in episode 8 and episode 10. So that was really fun. And that should come out, it's Netflix, so sometime maybe spring next year is what I'm
Yeah.
hearing. Yeah,
Um,
look for that.
wow.
And then I do a bunch of Christmas movies. So this time of year, I like to remind people that there's Christmas a la mode, Letters to Santa, Cape Cod Christmas, and also the most recent one was A Very Vermont Christmas. So,
Very
uh,
Vermont Christmas. Oh my God. My girlfriend's gonna freak. She loves Christmas
yeah,
movies. So we've been, you watch the classics. We need to toss in some new things like every
yeah,
year.
yeah.
Um, I won't say specifically, but I missed you on Pulse by like either or episode.
Really? Are you
Yeah.
on the show too?
Yeah.
Can we talk about
I don't know if we can. I've been talking to
it?
some people about it, that we were involved, but
Yeah.
I won't give out like episode numbers or anything. But yeah, like that's one I did not work on. Damn it.
Oh man. Well, it would have been so great to meet you then, but it's a pleasure
That's
to meet you
awesome.
now.
It's a
Aren't they
pleasure to meet
great?
you.
Weren't they amazing? Like Panda at base camp? Like,
Panda is
oh my
my
God.
favorite. Oh my God. Panda and then Kristen Forgy, makeup artist that she was on the show a couple weeks ago. She'll be out, I think after this episode. Um, but yeah, that whole production was streamlined,
Incredible. Stellar.
quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, just fantastic.
Yeah.
Um, holy crap. Okay, yeah, sorry, I just had a little like, oh, we missed each other moment.
How fun.
Um, but yeah, hopefully down the line, I'll see you on a set or we'll work together. Heck, I might even audition for a project that you're producing
Hey.
and I'll embrace that energy.
Well, we got to start that writer's room. So there we go.
You think I'm not going to hit you up for that? You're crazy. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna follow you on the Instagrams or whatever is popular now. Uh, Before we go, I just want to say thank you again for, offering up your time and telling us about your story and, sharing all your insights. It's just been an absolute joy. This was a blast.
Likewise.
Uh, we have one more thing to do before I stop the recording, and that's an awkward goodbye. So this I usually I think before I did a cue or something. Now I just kind of go like, "Hey, just give us an awkward goodbye, verbal, visual, and then I'll stop the recording when it's super awkward." Does that sound good?
Okay, great.
Whenever you're ready.
Bye.